Okay, for those of you online, we'll get started in about 5 more minutes.
Thank you.
Hello, Carmen.
Hey, Matt, do
Yes.
you know, like your slide looks really, really small. Is there any way you could make it bigger? I don't know how, but
Does everybody else see it very small also?
yeah, it normally takes up like more of the Zoom screen than it is tonight.
Okay, let me check, okay? Let me stop sharing and I'll pull here. You see, no.
Yeah, look, see. So right here. Wait, go back up there to the top so you can get that.
Okay, hold on.
Put your cursor.
Yeah, I'm going to go. Yeah.
Now, was there something that says?
Sorry. So let me just stop sharing and try it again.
Okay.
Okay, so now,
Hi, Jeevan.
here we go. So I share. And then desktop. Look. Here we go. Screen here. What did I need to share first and then play? Okay. And share. Does it now look big enough?
It's the same, but it's fine. It's no big deal.
Rennie, is it small for you too, Rennie? Looks good. Okay. All right. But we'll go with this and see what happens. Look, on my screen, it's huge.
Oh, I don't know. Who knows? It's fine. It's all
Okay.
good. We can
All
make
right. Shall we begin?
Yes.
All right.
I have some announcements. I can either do them now or at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
end.
go ahead, finish that,
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's just some reminders about some things that are coming up. So this week, the next sand mandala is coming up starting on Thursday. So the building here will be open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 10 until 4. And you can drop by any time during those 3 days between 10 and 4. If you didn't stop by during the Medicine Buddha Sand Mandala, it was just amazing. So I encourage you to do so if you can fit it into your schedule and spend as little or as much time as you like when you stop by. And so the opening ceremony for that is Thursday morning at 10 here in the Kadampa. Unfortunately, that one's not going to be available online. But for those of you local, I encourage you to come by either for the opening ceremony Thursday morning or anytime Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then Sunday, if you can make it, the building will open at 10 and then at 10:30, all of the monks will arrive, all four, Geshe Gelik, Geshe Sangpo, Geshe Pema, and Venerable Tenzin all will arrive and do a green Tara puja, and then we'll close out the sand mandala. And so they will deconstruct it and mix all the sand up, and then we will package it into little Ziploc bags for everyone to take with them. And you can use it for different Buddhist practices, or when pets or people that you know are sick or dying, or you can just have it on your altar at home. So it's a really nice opportunity, and it's a beautiful, really beautiful ritual that's done Sunday morning. So that starts at 10, building opens at 10. Sorry, the ritual starts at 10:30, led by all four monks, and then we should be wrapped up by noon that day, so on Sunday. And then on Sunday the 17th, after the teachings, there will be an opportunity to meet one of our Discovering Buddhism teachers, Steve Smith, who has written a memoir that's really quite amazing. And so she'll be here at the center Sunday the 17th, and she'll have, or you can pre-order a copy of her book. It's like $20, and she's gonna, have a little discussion about it. So anyway, for more information, just go on our website, and so it's kadampa-center.org. My favorite place is up on the calendar, right-hand corner, but you can also, there's scrolling pictures on the homepage as well, and there's one for Steep's event, book signing event. So be sure to check things out. There's a lot happening this spring, so make sure you're staying up on the calendar. If you're not already on our email listserv, you can also join that as well, upper right-hand corner of the homepage, and then you'll get once a week an email right to your inbox with everything that's coming up that week. So, okay, I think that's all that I have. Okay, thank you, Hemant, for your patience.
Thank you, Linda. Oh, that's exciting.
It
So,
is.
yeah, so much happening.
Lots of fun things happening.
So everyone, welcome to session 2 of Establishing Daily Practice. So as we discussed last time, we want to do a prostration. So let's do this. And so if you're in the Kadampa, you can do a full prostration if you wish, or have a prostration. If you are seated on a chair or in your home, you can do a mental prostrations, or at least do somewhat of a prostrations by sitting here. So Om Namo Manjushriye, Namo Sushriye, Namo Tamashriye. Om Namo Manjushriye, Namo Sushriye, Namo Tamashriye Soha. Om Namo Manjushriye, Namo Sushriye, Namo Tamashriye Soha. And again, just a reminder, we prostrate to remove negative karmas of body, speech, and mind, to develop good qualities and admiration, and to respect the 3 gems. And you pay homage to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Okay, and we talked a little bit last time about, the left hand represents wisdom, the right hand, the method, folding of the thumbs in between is like offering a jewel, and space around the hand is the ultimate truth. So there's a lot of symbolism in that. So generally, it is about humbling oneself And if there's a word called chaksal in Tibetan, you're also basically saying, I want the qualities you have. You're not bowing down to someone. You follow that? You're developing your own mind. So you want these teachings. Remember your own Buddha potential, right? So you want these qualities to be with you. So that's why you become humble and you develop those qualities, and that's why we prostrate. Okay? Hey, Jeevan, how are you? All right. Okay, so let's move forward. So plan for today. So last class, we just had a video and then we did some, I'll go over a quick summary of what we covered last time. But plan for today, we do our typical motivation and calm abiding meditation. We'll do a little overview. And then we'll go over some advice that Lama Zopa Rinpoche has provided for morning and evening practices. We'll talk about meditation manuals, the 6 preparatory practices, setting up an effective meditation session, and then we'll dedicate and move on to the next class then, okay? So let's put yourself in a position for calm abiding meditation, okay? And motivation. So let's do, just bring your attention to the present. And the 7-point meditation posture. If you're in the Kadampa and you choose to sit in a full lotus position, very difficult for some of us, or a half a lotus, the idea is to be comfortable. If you're sitting in a chair, make sure your feet are on the floor. And you want to keep your back straight, relaxed, fully upright. Okay, your arms held loosely on your lap, and they're kind of rounded. And your hands are resting about 2 or 3 inches below navel, right hand over your left, and your thumbs are touching to form a teardrop. The head is slightly inclined forward. You're gazing on the floor in front of you. Your jaw and mouth are also very relaxed. Teeth slightly apart and lips lightly touching each other. Your tongue is on the palate behind the teeth. Your eyes, you can lightly close it, but preferably you want to keep it slightly open. Okay. And then you want to focus on your breath. Just either when you're inhaling or exhaling, or just feeling that sensation by your nose. The idea is to keep your mind on your breath. As we have had a busy day, our mind might have some chatter, busyness, and this is one way of developing concentration and bringing yourself to the present moment. So when your mind starts to wander, just gently bring it back to your breath. Let's do that for about a minute. Again, if your thoughts start to wander, don't attach to them. Just observe and bring your mind back to the breathing. While we feel a little relaxed now and calm, let's set our motivation. This is very important part of any practice to set your intention or motivation. Our minds are like an open field, and we want to put the seeds in it to grow this beautiful crop. So in other words, we want to put the seeds for our positive potential, right? We want to fertilize it with our positive mind. And so motivation is extremely important before any practice. So allow yourself to be completely present for this time, this session, recognizing that usually our lives are filled with busy activities, simply concerned with survival or the short-term comfort and happiness of life. Of 24 hours, usually a third of that time is spent working, a third of that time is spent sleeping, and the remaining time is usually spent doing things like shopping for supplies, food, clothing, preparing, eating, cleaning up after the food, washing, and various other busy activities, including social engagement, movies, magazines, and so forth. The percent of our entire life that we actually spend in spiritual practice, making concerted effort, is very, very small. Yet, we have great wishes for what we like to accomplish. Make the determination that since the time that I spend in my spiritual life is very small and usually somewhat distracted, I'll make best effort to listen carefully and try to put them into practice to the best of my ability. And why? Because I want to experience happiness and not complications or suffering. I have some suspicion there is a greater happiness available, a longer lasting happiness that I could attain. I have some suspicion that I could develop greater wisdom, greater compassion, greater ability to help others. And if I check up in my heart, that's what I wish to do. I'm tired of seeing war, the environment degraded, people becoming worn out, old, and sick. The Buddha's claim is that he found another way. He identified what Geshe-la would call complications or suffering. He identified its causes. He achieved the end of those complications or suffering, and then he revealed the path. And I wish to follow the same path, attain that same state, and then reveal the method to others. So invite to this place our teachers and guides of this life, those who are carrying the lineage of these precious teachings to this present day. Ask them to abide with us and bless our minds for this time as we listen to these teachings on behalf of all living beings. Okay, now bring your mind back to the session, and we'll do a quick overview. I will not take too much time as we have a lot to cover today, and I want to keep the integrity of some time, considering it's late evening. So you remember in the first class, we typically do a FPMT introductory video of that given module. It was beautiful. We heard the teachers and what this class is all about. We talked a little bit more about prostrations, meditation, and motivation. And then we looked at insensitivity to dharma, what happens to us in leather and butter analogy, and this is where the rubber meets the road. And then we kind of cut it off there, and we're going to go over the advice for daily practice today, actually. So when we talk about this analogy, what I'm really talking about is that sometimes we develop this gap in our mind. You know, for a lot of people, Sunday is a day I do dharma, Monday to Friday is job and work and social life and all that. So we create this vast gap. Whereas dharma is something that protects your mind. It protects you from suffering. It is an everyday activity. Everything you do, it becomes a dharma, right? And the idea behind this whole class, establishing the daily practice, as we talked about in last class, is to integrate. It's not just books and reading gobs and gobs of theology and all of this stuff, right? It's at some point you gotta take some of this teaching and put it in the mind and change the mind. Why? Because we want to become Buddha, right? That's the whole idea, right? So this is where it begins, right? This is where the rubber meets the road. So the analogy I gave was our minds are like in Tibet. They carry leather pouches, and our minds are like leather. And what they do is before making the pouches or making anything, they actually take the butter and really work it in the leather. They really work it hard. They can make shirts out of it, many other materials out of it. It's very pliable, very malleable. But on the other hand, if the butter just sits in that pouch and doesn't do anything, the pouch becomes very hard. Okay, it's like a wood. So that's a chemical reaction. So the analogy is like our minds are like leather, and the Dharma is like butter. If you don't work it in, if you don't rub it in, if you don't integrate, then it becomes hard. And then it's like, yeah, I've heard it before. Oh, I've seen this before. Oh, it's pretty boring. That's what starts to happen. Whereas, you remember when you hear a song that you really like, you feel that warm feeling, no matter how many times you hear it, right? When you meet your teacher, how good you feel after a while. You want to see the teacher. That's the feeling you want to develop. Then you know something is softening in you, something is working. And Dharma is like that. It can be very exciting if your mind is focused and malleable. But if you become hardened by just words and words and words and yeah, and then what happens? It becomes a little hardened. So kind of think about that a little bit, okay? So like I said last time, this is where it begins. So you've had other modules before, 8 other modules, I believe, or 7 or 8. And you learn about, death and impermanence, precious human rebirth, refuge, the lower realms, and how to meditate and so forth, right? And about the teacher, the value of your teacher. But now you got to take those teachings and now you got to put it in your mind. Why? Because you want to develop your own potential to become Buddha. All right, so we're going to start today with the real stuff. What is Lama Zopa Rinpoche telling us to do? So now I want to preface this by saying some of you are advanced practitioners and may have a commitments already. Okay, then there are others that have a practice already established, but then there are others who have not. So you got to take it from that point of view. This is a general advice. Okay, I also want to preface it by saying, if you were to follow this to the T, to the every word, it can take a long time. And not everybody has 2-3 hours a day to do things. So I would emphasize quality over quantity. Do few things, establish a plan, but do them well. And learn them, understand them. As your mind expands, you can incorporate new things, and it expands that way. So when I'm going through all of these things, in back of your mind saying, when am I going to do this? How am I going to do all of these things? Don't let that stop you. Okay? You can still do few things. And so we're going to start by talking about generating the right attitude, bodhicitta. Okay? And I have a statement from your reading, actually. Lama Zopa Rinpoche says, first thing is to generate bodhicitta when you wake up in the morning, or an attitude of reliance. If you remember from your karma classes, there are those 4 powers: power of reliance, power of regret, power of remedy, and power of resolve. And for some of us, we can add a 5th one, power to rejoice, right? So power of reliance. We have teachings, we have teachers, we have practices. And so you rely on that positive mindset and bodhicitta that you have understood. And so you want to, first thing is generate bodhicitta, the attitude of reliance and rejoicing and so forth. And then think that you didn't die, and thinking that you can die any day. You remember that from your class, death and impermanence. Okay, death is certain, time of the death is uncertain. Then consider the shortcomings of cherishing oneself. Why? Because the self, the ego, the self, that feeling we carry of self-inherent I is the root of ignorance. That's the development. The attachment starts right there. I want this, I like this, and if I does not get that, I'm upset. Right? That's what starts the whole ball rolling. So you got to think about not shortcomings of self-cherishing and advantages of cherishing others, bodhicittas and things like that. Generating motivation of bodhicitta, the attitude of enlightenment, becoming one of the 5 powers. And the 5 powers, if you remember from the video last time, the Rinpoche talked about them. First one is the determination not to be separated from bodhicitta, the mind that wants to benefit others. Then familiarity with the mind of bodhicitta. And we'll talk about that a little bit. Then what he called a white seed is the purification and accumulation of generating bodhicitta. Then eradication of self-cherishing. And the last power of prayer, dedication to never be separated from bodhicitta. This morning thinking when you wake up is the first one, determination not to be separated from bodhicitta. If you look at the lifetime practices of the 5 powers, this is the power of attitude, the determination. Then you do and live your life like this. So this is the thought that starts your day. Then Lama Zopa Rinpoche suggests that you do the prostrations to 35 Buddhas. We can talk about that when the class gets going a little bit. Now, there's quite a bit of, actually there are some, I don't know, I don't want to start talking about all the books that are available, but there are, even in your, if you have your prayer, FPMT Essential Buddhist Prayers, FPMT prayer book, the gold prayer book, the confession to 35 Buddhas are in there. But you can also get a nice, I don't know if you can see it or not, it's a little blurry, but it's called the Preliminary Practice of Prostrations. So it talks about the prostrations to 35, and we'll talk about that. Then Buddha's power of prayer. This will talk about how each of those Buddhas made a prayer when they were bodhisattvas. And that they will take care of some of your obscurations or bad karmas. And so by doing prostrations to them, you're purifying yourself. Besides, I always like to say in the morning to do prostrations is good for your health. When you do 35 prostrations. Now, some of you can't do it because of your back problem, and that's fine. You can do half prostrations, or you can mention many names and do a couple of prostrations as far as you do them. Okay, so like I said, the karmas that each of the Buddhas purifies and how to incorporate these prostrations to your daily practice. So you should need to think about that. Then you can do a little guru yoga with Lamrim prayer. And we'll talk about that. We did a sort of a practice last class with Shakyamuni Buddha. If you have a teacher, you can have his or her figure. You can do Lama Tsongkhapa. So there are many ways to do a guru yoga and Lamrim prayers. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Then you do a little reading from Lamrim, 5 to 10 minutes. And there are a couple of manuals available. We have Lamrim Chenmo, and we have treatises on the stages of the path if you want to go in detail. And big one is the Liberation in Palm of Your Hand. And some of these books are available. They are like meditation manuals. And if you have looked at your reading requirements, the last section, page 57, yes, Lama Zopa Rinpoche has done a wonderful job. It talks about how to meditate on the stages of the path to enlightenment. And it's given very specific instructions. 6 sections are there. So, before you go about doing things, do a little bit of reading. Try to understand where this is taking you and why. and try to understand that, okay? And then you can do mantra recitation. We'll talk about that today. Okay, so let me go into, there are other practices. If you again have the Golden Prayer Book, there are practices available where you can purify your speech. You can you can multiply your mantra recitation. And if it's the very first beginning of the Gold Prayer Book. If you have it, you take a look at it. There's for mantra purification, there's a mantra called Sambara, Sambara, Vivana, Sarama, Javaham, and you can do that mantra recitation. Then there is one to purify your mala or your rosary, Om Ruchira Mani Pravartaya Home. You can do purify your feet. These are all practices that allow you to really prime yourself. You're purifying yourself. You're taking the I out. You're purifying your mind. And then then you start to do your practices, right? So it's very important to think in that way. There's a blessing of the speech, very important. It's a very powerful, Lama Zopa Rinpoche has a beautiful practice book on how to bless your speech. And they say that once you bless your speech, it walks you through your purification of your body, speech, and mind. And then whatever you say has so much power. And you get so many blessings. Okay, so that's one. Then obviously we do mantras, right? So when you do mantras, you can do so many mantras. But for example, a typical traditional mantra, we do the Om Mani Padme Hum. Most of you are familiar with it. Keshala has given us many, many classes on mantra recitation of particularly Om Mani Padme Hum. And it's such a powerful mantra. If you look at it very clean cut for what the words stand for, it simply says that jewel in the lotus flower. Om Mani is a jewel, Padma Hum in the lotus. And the lotus represents being pure in the samsara. It grows in the mud, but the mud does not touch the lotus, right? So you want to be like that. Now, if you want to take it further, I'll very quickly tell you, Keshala very nicely said that the 6-syllable mantra, the word Om stands for body, speech, and mind. Ma stands, Om, it purifies pride. Okay, it purifies pride, it's white in color. Ma is green in color, and it purifies envy and jealousy. And then Ni is yellow in color, and it purifies negative doubt. Pe, it purifies ignorance, that's blue in color. And then Ma is red in color, purifies attachment. And Hum, which is, some call it black, some call it blue-black, but dark color like that, it purifies anger. And there are so much written on this mantra. You can read and read and read. So there's way more than you could handle. But this simple 6-syllable mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, is very powerful. They say if you're in a swimming pool, say the mantra, even any beings in that swimming pool get purified. That's the power of this mantra. Okay, so you're walking around. It's not difficult to do Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Okay, and just know. And what is mantra? What is mantra? Anybody knows? If one wants something that frees your mind, it focuses right on the mantra. So what happens is you're not thinking of something else. Look at that. Think about it. If you're doing a mala, your hands are occupied. Your mind is occupied. You're saying the mantra, your mouth is occupied. So your mind is now focused on something positive. Right? So that's the power of mantra. You're not thinking of the movie or somebody doing something or 20 things to do. When you're doing your mantras, your mind is focused. It occupies you in that way. It protects your mind. Right? That's mantra. Then you can even do medicine Buddha mantra. They say this is a very powerful, it's not just healing sicknesses, it heals so many things. It removes suffering not only for yourself, but all sentient beings. It's also a very simple mantra. Tayatam bekanze bekanze maha bekanze bekanze raza samugate soha. Right? And there's meanings behind this. Even the word Bekanze removes suffering. Bekanze, removes all kind of obscurations, Mahabekanze, all kind of defilements, Bodhisattva. So you're continuously invoking this mantra, and the Buddha. There are 7 Buddhas that did practice, and it's a healing mantra. So you can do that mantra. We all need healing in some way, right? So some things you can do on a daily basis, right? Again, these are general practices. You may want to do Tara practice. Okay, when you do your Guru Puja, you may want to have Tara there or Chain Zig there. It's all the same essence. Okay, not one is better than the other. That is the mind we maintain. Whatever is your deity that you like or you have been practicing, the essence is the same. They are Buddhas. Omniscient mind, omnipresent mind, right? So don't distinguish. Even if you look at your teacher represents Buddha. Because if Buddha is somebody, sometimes people don't relate to Buddha. He was a long time ago. And there are so many different pictures and depictions, so I can't relate, but some people can relate to a teacher, if you have a teacher. And I always give this analogy: if you want sunlight from the sun, you don't have to always go to the sun. You can sit in a corner and get the rays of the sun, and you still be in sunlight. Your teachers are like those sun rays. They represent the sun, the Buddha, the teachings of the Buddha. Not necessarily the human form, the teachings that come from them. And we are very lucky to have Geshe-la and Kesho Rinpoche come, and all these teachers come to us, and the teachings we get. So that's already amazing to me. So think in those terms and remember why. Always ask, why am I doing this? If I say do bless your speech and do medicine Buddha, or Lama Zopa Rinpoche says do Chandra Zig mantra, ask why. This is the beauty of this tradition. To benefit your mind, you're putting that energy, those thoughts in your mind. Remember, life after life, we've been carrying so much junk with us, right? Look at our life sometimes, the roommates we have in our minds right now. And if you're trying to help yourself to relieve some of that, these are the ways to do it. And there are many Buddhas, millions of them out there. They were bodhisattvas who became Buddha. They're there to help you. You can invoke them, right? And you're helping your own mind, your own Buddha potential. That's the main point of this. Integrating. Okay. So let's go to the evening practice. So morning practice is done, and we'll talk about it, what to do in between in a different session. But just to give you a general idea, you do a little bit of reading of Lamrim. Even if you do summary, if you go to your prayer book, FPMT Gold Prayer Book, there is Foundation of All Good Qualities. Very short prayer, literally takes 5 minutes. And it goes through every point of Lamrim, from precious human rebirth, death and impermanence, to suffering of the lower realms, to taking refuge, to karma, the 4 noble truths, the 12 links. It goes on to equanimity, bodhicitta, 6 perfections, and emptiness. It's mind-blowing. It's very quick. And if you look at that, it's in a prayer form. You're telling your teachers and Buddhas, please bless me so that I can do this. Every paragraph ends with, please bless me so that I can do this. It's an amazing prayer. So that's like a little Lamrim. Then what you do is you find a topic that really, it's not gelling with you, right? You still feel like you need some work. I have a doubt in this, or I need to improve it. You can do some analytical meditation, or take that topic and work on that topic, on that thought. You don't need to do everything all the time. Even if you do small quantity, but let it settle in your mind till you feel comfortable and you feel like you've gotten the answer. Then move forward. This is just giving you a general outlook of all things you can do. Okay. And then in the evening, you can do purification practice, Vajrasattva, which we'll do in one of these classes. And then you must dedicate, dedicate, dedicate. I told you in the beginning, motivation is very important. Dedication is very, very important. Why? Because all these positive things we have, right? It's not only for me, 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 me. You want to steer your mind so you continue. There's a fruition at the end of the tunnel. This life, next life, but something culminates into that. You're cultivating your future being. So you must dedicate. You're steering your energies. Okay? And then you go to sleep. Happy mind and go to sleep. All right. So I know that last class, I did not ask if you have any questions. What I would like to do is we'll go through this. Time permitting, we'll have question and answers. But if not, maybe the next class will take a few minutes. And if we have some questions, write them down. And we'll answer as many questions. And then maybe the last session, we can go through a couple of questions, Q&A, okay? But right now, just try to understand that there are many, many practices. There are books and books on different types of meditation. The questions that come up, where do I begin? What do I do? How do I do it? What comes before what? Those are the kind of things people get confused. And then what is it important to me? And I'll tell you, start small. Start with small quality, sometimes even setback. You may know so much already. Sometimes it's good to filter out and see if you are truly getting the essence of your practice. Are you able to integrate? So it's very important to sometimes just regress back, think about it, take a break, and go at it again and start with this positive mindset. Okay? Okay. So let's talk about meditation manuals. Okay, so we have these books, and Linda, I think the last 2 times I've taught, I think we have a PDF of this extended Lamrim outline, beginner
Yes.
meditation guide.
Mhm.
Maybe you can share that with the classmates here.
Okay.
And this is the third picture in the bottom here. These are all Lamrim meditations. It is fantastic. It's compiled by Karen Wellham from FPMT, and it follows the Lamrim outline. And even if you look at the content, that's the entire Lamrim there. It has a beautiful, beautiful Guru Shakyamuni Buddha, beginningless mind, Guru devotion, perfect human rebirth, 8 worldly concerns, impermanence and death process. It goes on like that. And then it goes to medium scope of the Lamrim, the noble truth, 4 noble truths, the realms of samsara. All these are meditations. And it even points you to how you must think when you're doing this. It kind of walks you through. So it's at least a source that you have. And remember, liberation in palm of your hand. If you read in small chunks, they're like a little meditation manual. It kind of guides you what to think about. And then if you want to get into detail and you want to know more about a topic, even in liberation palm of your hand, then you have our Lamrim Chenmo, the stages to the path of enlightenment, the 3 volumes. And you can get into as deep as you want. Okay, so at least be familiar with these. Okay, so we move on. So now you understand that Lama Zopa Rinpoche tells you can do some morning practices, develop a mind of bodhicitta, do a little guru yoga with some Lamrim prayers, right? And then you can do your 35 confession Buddhas in the beginning, and then you start do your practices, and then do some mantras. In the evening, you can do the same 35 confession Buddha or Vajrasattva purification practice, do a little Lamrim reading, and then you can call it a night. Right? So in general, you can at least have your day. If you're not knowing what to do, you can at least start to develop and prime your mind that way. Now, we're going to talk about 6 preparatory practices. So, if you think about it, I told you in the beginning, our mind is like a field, and it's got so much stuff going on. What we want to do is purify it, grow the right things, put the right seeds. 6 preparatory practices is like the primer. Before you do your meditation session, most people think meditation session is the cushion time. When you sit down on a cushion, that's your meditation session. And here what they're saying is there are some activities you can do to get your mind to be able to do the meditation properly. Not only that, this give you certain qualities. They develop you a certain way. So remember, it is all experiences that you want to develop. And so these are absolutely important. So the 6 preparatory practices. So first of all, you want to designate a place, right? We're going to talk about setting up the altar in a minute, cleaning the place and setting up the altar. And if you don't have a room, you can set up a small corner. What you want is your sanctuary, a place where you feel good. It's your space. You want it simple, clean, not in a busy place where you can get away and do some practices. So that's where you want to have an altar. If you have the property or home, large home, and you can dedicate a room, even better, right? Then you have that one area you can go to and do your practices. Okay. And then one thing about altar is, while we're talking about altar, so let's talk about an altar and then we'll talk about the rest of it. Setting up an altar, you at least want to have in the center a picture of Buddha or Tara or Chenrezig or any deity that you're practicing in the center, minimum. Right? Then when you're facing the altar, on the left side is the Dharma. So you have your holy books or practice books or prayer books. You may want to put it on the left side, Buddha Dharma. On the right side, they put a small statue or a picture of a stupa, which represents Sangha. Okay, so Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Then, if you have your teachers, pictures of your teachers, you can put them next to your Buddhas, and some people have a tier. You can even put them on top of of the Buddha on the top, okay, or to the side. So you can put your teachers there. Again, you can put many other things, but what you don't want is you want it to be beautiful. You want it to feel good. It needs to make you feel happy. That's what the altar is. Place you can go. Okay. And then one of the things you do is you clean the place. Every day, when you go there, you wipe it out. Even you don't want it to be dirty. They say Buddhas like a clean place. Think about it. If you're inviting an esteemed guest to your house, what do? We go around crazy vacuuming the house. Let me put the pillows back, right? We do that. So think about you are meeting with your mind and Buddhas, and so you want to keep it nice and clean, right? And there's a story that in this monastery, there was this monk. He was supposedly a very dull monk. His name, I believe, was Chudapadanka. And he could not remember even one mantra properly. So Buddha gave him a job to clean the sandals of the monks when they walk inside. They leave their shoes outside, to just clean them. And he had to say this mantra, stain be gone, dirt be gone, stain be gone. That's what he had to do. He did that for a couple of months. Then later on, when he was getting good at it, he said, okay, now do the whole yard, just the compound in the front, just clean every day with a broom and just keep on saying, dirt be gone, stain be gone. And he kept on doing it, and he did it for a long time. And what happened was, it clicked at him that he is removing the obscurations of his mind. This is why he was not able to learn mantras. And it connected with him that I need to remove and purify my mind. So Buddha had given me this to do. The story ends that he became the abbot of the nunnery, and some of the nuns were very upset that this monk is going to be an abbot, And then he was able to sit on the throne and do some miracles and many things, and people were just amazed how advanced he had become, simply by doing this, cleaning his mind out. So purification, cleaning the place is an important. There's even another story that even Dalai Lama, he has so many people that can help him, but even then he will take a little broom and clean the place up before practice. It's just a good habit to have. Okay. And then we talk about making some offerings. So let me just. So offerings. So we've heard about we offer the bowls, don't we? The 8 bowls, water bowls. So they represent, what do they represent? So let's think about it. This comes from the old Indian tradition, where when somebody esteemed, a big monk or some big king or prince, somebody came to their house, you offered them water to drink. Even we do it here, right? If somebody comes, would you like something to drink? Right? So water to drink. Then in those days, they didn't have these beautiful cars like we have. They walked a long distance or they came on a horse or whatever, but they gave them water to cleanse themselves, their hands, their feet, okay? And so sometimes the water, so they can even clean themselves up. So that's the second one. So first one we call argam, water to drink. Hadyam, water for the feet. Pushpe, you go to Hawaii, you get a garland. It's the same way when somebody comes up, they're treated with flowers or they're given a garland. So flower offering, right? Dupe, then you put incense in your home, right? So this smells good. You're creating a good environment, right? And so then after incense, dupe, then you offer light. So if you can look at the bowl, you will have a nice candlelight, so nice light offering. Right? After light offering, there's a little perfume offering. Even today, if you go to a fancy place in India or a big home, they'll sometimes put a rose water or something around you. It's just an offering to smell good. It's like a little luxury, right? And in the end, you offer food. And then the last, you offer some music. So it's like a whole party, right? You got the whole package. Now, doing this has some benefits. When you say, you can say Om Arkama Hum Padyam Pushpe Dhupe Aloke Gyende Navidya Sapta Ahum. These are water for the drinking, feet. Pushpe is flower, and Dhupe is the incense. Aloke is the light. Those are the words we speak. And then we say Gyende means smell, and then Navidya means food, and Shabda means music. So this is how we do the 8 bowls. So if you observe somebody in Kadampa center offering the bowls, observe it sometimes. It's a beautiful practice. And you can do that also offer it to your altar, to your Buddha, to your teachers. Now, when you offer water, there are some really nice things that work with it. For example, it represents something. Water represents generosity, for example. It develops that quality. Right? Flowers and incense represent scent of morality. This is an example. Light, for example, represents wisdom. Okay. Perfume represents joy. I'm looking it up. I don't remember every one of them. And then food actually provides you a relief, and it's also priming for enlightenment. You get things you're really feeding your own mind. You want to think about when you want to go to a place where there's a clean water, there's beautiful flowers, there's food, there's light, right? So think about the thoughts. When you're doing this, you're also putting those thoughts in your mind, aren't you? You're putting that energy in your mind. So for your own Buddha potential, you're also thinking of these beautiful things: pure water, pure sense, good food. And then guess what? You don't have to go outside and buy a whole bunch of flowers. If you can afford it, great. But even if you offer one, you think it multiplies millions. Offer large. If you offer one light, think in your mind you're offering thousands of lights. What's stopping us? Offer as large as you can. It's a great practice. Whenever you do your deity practice, you will see certain things flow. you know, and we'll walk through that in a minute. But it's an important thing. And then whenever you offer some things, you want to make sure it's free of wrongdoings. There are 5 wrongdoings. You don't want to force somebody to give you something like, I want those flowers. Hey, give me those flowers, right? You don't want to force them. You want to buy with your money, or if you can get it nicely. You don't want to bait somebody. You get those envelopes, we'll give you the stamps and the address labels, but if you can just donate $50, right? You don't want to bait. You don't want to do that. We do that all the time in marketing here, right? But you want to earn it, do it with the right mind. You don't want to be hinting somebody, hey, that's a nice kind of stuff, man. It'd be nice to have it. You don't want to hint in a wrong way. You don't want to flatter somebody with the manipulative mind that you will get something from them. And last but least, you don't want to have a pretense that you're somebody great and it would be nice if I can have it. You want to make persons. So don't be manipulative about offerings. When you offer from your heart and develop your own mind. Okay, so it should be free from this negative attitude when you are doing the offerings. Any questions on at least this preparatory practice in terms of setting up the altar, cleaning the place, and offerings?
Any questions in here? And if you're online, you can put it in the chat. Or if you're on Zoom, you can unmute. Anything?
And I have these slides I didn't go through, but at least just a quick review. Cleaning the space. We talked about the story of Chirapatanka, setting up the altar, and where to put what, right? Remember, it should be obtained free of 5 wrong livelihoods. And typically we offer this: water for drinking, washing feet, flowers, incense, lights, perfumed water, food, and music. Okay, now you're going to sit in a meditation posture. Remember, you're preparing for your meditation session all along. These were some preparatory practices that we are doing, and we are not done yet. Right? Again, like I said, the Tibetan word is chaksal, means the essence. You have something I want, please give it to me. Okay, and you know that you should always start with some prostrations. Remember, you're developing your good qualities, right? You want to humble yourself, and you're paying homage to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and the teachings, right? And then you want to sit in what they call Vairochana position. Vairochana is one of the 5 Buddhas, Dhyani Buddhas, and just for knowledge's sake, he's the perfect form. And the point is, you want to be comfortable. If you sit too tight, you start to sweat. If you close your eyes too tight, you fall asleep. If you keep too stiff, you may get tired, neck ache. So you want to avoid anything that's going to take your mind away from your meditation. So they have developed this posture, which is also good because the wind channels are free, and the power of all of the positive potential and the winds are positive in your body. It allows them to flow. Okay. Next thing you want to think about is the level of light in your room, right? So if it's too bright, it may distract you. If it's too dim, it may make you fall asleep. So just adjust it to what is correct for you. Also reassess your habits. I know first thing comes out of the mind in the morning is not bodhicitta, but I want some coffee. Right? Coffee is the first mantra for many of us, or tea or chai, whatever it is. But think about that for a minute. You do your bodhicitta practice, and yeah, if you want to have something, some people need it, right? We have to take medication or something, that's okay. But what you want to be careful is if you drink two or three cups of coffee, then you want to go and sit in meditation, and you wonder why you're shaking. Oh, well, you need to reassess that a little bit. Maybe you want to have tea first. But so think about it. If you also eat a lot of food in the morning and then do your meditation, you may want to fall asleep a little bit. So just reassess. It's not saying don't have it. If you need it, that's fine. But just reassess that you want to be comfortable and not fall asleep or to be jittery in the morning. Okay. So that's how you want to at least create the mind to be able to then start your meditation. So then the next thing you want to do is generate the mind of refuge and bodhicitta. So why refuge? You look at every prayers, every sadhana, even Geshe-la, what does he start with? Sangye, Chodam Choki, Chodamla, Jalchuk Badu Dagdi Kapsuchi. We say that, right? What he's saying, I go for refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, the Supreme Assembly, right? And so you say, you do the refuge prayer, by the power of my practice and merits and so forth, may I become Buddha to benefit other beings. Right? So we do refuge. You are going there for protection. You're honing your mind, saying, I am in that path. I want to be there. Right? Refuge is where we go to accomplish our goals. Right? Refuge reminds us of our wish to attain Buddhahood, our wish to attain the realizations of the path, and our wish to become a helpful member of an enlightened community. That's refuge. So you want to create the mind of refuge. Right? And they say there are two reasons people do refuge. Sometimes there's a little fear of the lower realms and all that. I don't like to go there, but I can look at it from a positive aspect that I have this precious human opportunity, this birth. And by doing this practice, I am just catapulting myself in the positive, in my journey in the positive direction. Right? I'm taking on this is an opportunity for me. That's why it's a precious human rebirth. Right? So I look at it from that angle. And then, of course, the faith. You have conviction that you will become Buddha. That's what you've decided to do. That's why you're on this path. You want that happiness. Right? So you develop the mind of refuge. And obviously bodhicitta. Now, bodhicitta is a tough for many people. We all know that. It's very hard to generate mind that just loves everybody equally. It's very hard. It takes some work. So it's suggested we start small. Start with somebody you love. Start maybe somebody that's passed away in your home, but you care for. Start there. Develop that feeling and then expand slowly. And some people can go from one to a community to a group and then go to the town and to the city and then eventually go a little larger and then see the world. And remember, there's ways to look at bodhicitta. You want to be enlightened to benefit others. You want to be enlightened to be able to be benefiting others. So you need to develop a mind, a compassionate mind, right? If you remember, we even do 4 immeasurables, don't we? Right? If anybody remember the 4 immeasurables? May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. It represents love. What's the second one? May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Compassion. And may they be inseparable from happiness, right? So, and that is joy. And the last one is equanimity. So when we do those 4 immeasurables, when we do our Sunday practices, you hear them. That's what it's talking about. Love, compassion, joy, equanimity. You develop this mind. You're always saying these words, but think about what you're saying and why. Forgot where my mouse was. Okay. Okay. Then invoking a merit field. Merit field is a field of accumulation, positive potential. Okay. It is the focus or an object before what we practice offerings. So your Buddha, your teachers, that's your merit field. You're taking all the positive things you're doing and offering it to them. You're also putting that energy in your mind, in your Buddha, you're developing your Buddha potential. Whenever you do these things, don't just look one way. Think that everything you do is impacting your mind. You're integrating these thoughts in your mind. You offer with love. You develop love. If you're a miser and I don't want to give it up, why should I give a flower to a statue? Well, think where your mind is. Is it stingy? But when you open it up, you will see. And that's why we say, do it in millions, offer. What a beautiful feeling. And if you even go back to some of your previous DB classes, presenting the path or some classes, we are all interdependent, right? We kind of know that. Geshe has told us many times, every sentient being is your mother sentient beings. They've been your mothers in the past, for example. So when you grow that way, you develop this mind, you open yourself up, and you develop your Buddha potential. Okay? So start with Shakyamuni Buddha. Sometimes you can visualize Tara or Chenrezig, visualize your teacher, and then you develop your merit field that way. Your merit field should move your mind. I have a note here. Okay. Now, if you go and start reading Liberation in the Palm of your hand, it is so detailed, you will get lost. You will get scared. It really gets into heavy duty merit field. Now, remember something. Pabonka Rinpoche was talking to the monks who do 24 hours a day. That is what they do, right? So you start small, and as you expand, you can incorporate a lot of things. You can put teachers, you can put ultimate Buddha, you can put all kind of lineage teachers, your deities, your wrathful deities, all kind of things you can start to put. You're creating a field to whom you're practicing. This is your object of your concentration. Okay, merit field. Okay, so we are going to move forward. So far, so good? Okay. Okay. Then we offer, this is the 5th preparatory practices, offering 7-limb prayer and mandala offering. So I put it into a 5A and a 5B because I have 7-limb prayer and a mandala offering. Okay, so most of you have heard this. You may not remember 7-limb prayer. This is absolutely fantastic. You start with prostrations. We already talked about why we prostrate. You make offerings. Then there's a confession. And you remember it's a very small, if you read, it's in your prayer book. It's very, I reverently prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. I offer all things actual and imagined. I confess all my negative actions accumulated since the beginning of times and rejoice in the merits of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until the end of cyclic existence and turn the wheel of Dharma for all beings. And I dedicate this to my teachers, right? So this very, very simple way of doing this 7, you can do it within a minute, but think what you are saying and why. So we are prostrating, right? This is the nuts and the bolts to prepare your mind for meditation. You do prostrations, then you make offerings. Offer all things actual and imagined. Offer the word. Confession is not like typically you hear that in some traditions you go and tell somebody behind a closed door. This is just telling your teacher or telling your own self where your problems may be. You may something that's holding you up. Get it out. Release it. And don't forget, give equal time to rejoicing. We always talk about suffering. Rejoice the good things you've done. That's very important. If you can't think even for small things you can rejoice, certainly you can find some good things you've done. So rejoice on that. If not, rejoice somebody else who's got a good thing. You can think of Dalai Lama, His Holiness, Richard Gere, anybody. He has millions of dollars, but he's donating his time and efforts for Dharma. You can rejoice. Right? So you can think in so many ways to rejoice. Requesting to stay. Okay, it's very, very important to ask teachers to stay. Okay, we assume in Western world, the teacher knows what the heck we need. He's going to go do his thing and he's going to keep teaching us different things. Not the right attitude. You need to request. There's a whole bunch of stories about Ananda and Buddha. And Ananda was in tears because Buddha could have stayed, lived, but he decided to depart. He forgot to request him to stay. It's not the story goes on, but anyways, you need to request teachers to stay. And it develops a quality. You will get teachings in your next life or continue to get teachings. Put it this way, we don't know about next life, but let's talk about you continue to get teachings because you're requesting it. Your mind says, I need this, I want this, and the doors will open. Then requesting to stay and teach. So it goes into the same bucket, basically. You remember when you ask the teacher to teach something, keep your ears and eyes open. It will come. How many times you find you're listening to the Dharma from Geshe-la and it seems like he's talking straight to you? Right? Geez, I was just thinking about this, and here he's telling me about this. It happens many times. Why? Because there's a wish. We look forward to his teachings. And that's why it's very important to request and then dedicate. Remember, I told you dedication is even better than prayer. It is a prayer, but prayer is not dedication. Dedication is really steering all this positive potential forward. Okay? So this is 7-limb prayer. So far, so good. I know it is 8:08. We'll take another 5 or 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes max, and we'll close it. Whatever we don't get done, we'll continue. All right? So not to worry. In short, then we do mandala offering. There's a whole bunch of writings on what a mandala offering is. Again, our mind is always stingy. We think this is my prayer, this is my house, this is my coffee, this is my car, my towel, just think about it. How much we think this is mine. Mandala offering is the opposite. You offer the universe. If you have a house, you offer it. Remember, you are a temporary guest in your house. You have a deed and you sign paper and you paid money, no doubt. But when you go from here, what happens? It's not there or somebody else has it. So remember, you can offer it. You can offer everything. There's a whole technique of 3 bowls and what you can think about. In essence, you're offering the whole universe. And you can offer the 4 continents, the world, the perfume, the beautiful grass, the sun and the moon. We even have a short mandala offering. When the teacher comes, we do a mandala offering, don't we? We have a symbol, we put our hands like this, and this ground anointed with perfume, right? Adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha feel and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure land. So you offer it. You're offering the energy. Okay, it's symbolized by your merit field that you want to activate in your own mind. Think when you're a Buddha, you want the whole world, everything is part of the whole universe is yours. You are the universe. So that's what you're developing. So this is a nice summary if people want to just think about it. So 6 preparatory practices. Again, you're setting up this for your meditation session. You clean the place, set up the altar, obtain the offerings honestly, arrange them beautifully, sit in a meditation posture, generate the mind of refuge and bodhicitta, invoking the merit field, offering the 7-limb prayer, which is on the right-hand side, and the mandala, and then making request all the time. Please stay there, please come, please teach me, continue my Dharma teaching. So it continues for you till you become Buddha. Okay. And I'll have this again, and we'll show this a couple of times. And if you need a copy, this is easy. This is good to have in a way, and you make request. And I'll just go through this very quickly. The 3 great purposes are a perfect human body in order to practice the holy Dharma in your next life, the cessation of samsara, and full enlightenment. Okay, so this is what you're making requests. And this is very easy, 1-pager for me. So 4 parts of meditation. You want to prepare your mind. and the place in a proper way. You need to have a motivation, plan for it. Then you do the actual meditation, Shakyamuni Buddha, Tara Puja, Tara meditation, Chandrasekhar meditation, Lama Tsongkhapa meditation, and then you dedicate. Okay? So you see the preparatory practices, you're preparing your mind, you're priming your mind, you're starting your day with a positive bodhicitta mind. You're happy to be alive. You do a couple of practices, have your coffee, have your tea, just be careful how much. Set up your meditation, make sure that the place is conducive to meditation, the light, the food, and all that. And then continue with your refuge and bodhicitta, meditation session, offering request, 7-limb prayer, and making requests. Perfect timing. Let's do some dedication. Okay, so just again, bring your mind, internal, go inside you, and just think about all the things you learned today. And let's close by dedicating all the energy that we have generated by making effort to listen to these teachings and understanding how to apply them in our life to a swift awakening of ourselves and the supreme happiness of every single living being, especially those represented by the characters in our lives. May we be able to put all these teachings into practice, exactly the manner in which they are intended, and quickly develop the qualities of enlightenment within us for the benefit of all. May all teachings, true paths to enlightenment in any time, any place, have long and fruitful lives. May all their wishes be fulfilled. Thank you. And just continue your readings. You have reading requirements. It tells you very clearly what pages to read in your liberation in the palm of your hand. It tells you also the required reading. Lama Zopa Rinpoche has given a really beautiful, beautiful teachings in there. Take your time, read it, really try to pause, think about it, and then you can develop any questions you may have. Next time, we'll do what meditations to do in what order, the graduated path to enlightenment, a little bit about that, how to meditate on Lamrim, the goal of Buddha Dharma, and generating the experience. And then we'll talk about a multi-pronged approach. It is 8:14. Again, made it before 8:15.
That's great. Thank you, Hemant.
Thank you, Hemant. Really good. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Good night, everyone. So, next week, Hemant, do you want to plan to teach from home again?
Yeah, it is very helpful for me, but if you feel that I need to come in, I can make an effort to come in next week. But it would be nice next class, and maybe the last 2 classes I can do it from the Kadampa Center.
That sounds good. All right. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, guys.
Good
Good
night.
night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye-bye.